YouTube, what is up? Guys, it's during the week, so that means your boy is bank fishing. Back on the bank. And you know, I was thinking, speaking of that, I feel like most people out there aren't professional fishermen, right? So it's just like basketball. Like, a lot of people love and play basketball, but there's a very small percentage of the population that plays professional basketball. And so fishing, I feel like most people that view fishing channels on YouTube are just like average Joe, weekend warrior kind of guys, you know? Everybody's not fishing tournaments, you know? Not everybody's in a boat. A lot of people bank fish. And so I was thinking, man, I bank fish quite a bit. Like I said, during the week, it's all bank for me. And the weekends, you know, even the weekends, you know, sometimes if I don't have time to get my boat out, I'll get on the bank somewhere. Because, hey, my thing is, yeah, I've gotten a little fond of fishing out of my boat, and it's something I'm trying to do more and more of. I prefer that. But at the end of the day, man, most of us started bank fishing, and it's better than sitting on the couch. So I'll always go bank fishing any chance I can get. It's a good chance to get out there and just get on the water, relax, maybe test out some lures, which is what I'm doing today. I got a little new technique that I'm trying to mess with today. And so yeah, but anyways, I'm rambling about all that to say that yeah, I want to focus on, you know, pushing out some good tips for bank fishing, because you know, I know a thing or two about it. Like I said, I've done it my whole life. So anyways, yeah, we're gonna get out here today on the water. I'm pulling up right now, and yeah, I might throw out a tip or two on some bank fishing, man. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys on the water. All right, guys, so like I mentioned in the car, I'm gonna throw out some bank fishing tips, and this one's gonna be kind of specific. Starting out here with the swim jig. You saw my last video, man. I talk about how much I like the swim jig and why for these small ponds, man. It's just so nice dealing with that slimy grass. So for the first tip, man, I'm just gonna kind of go down the list here, but okay, so like I mentioned, this is specific. So I'm talking to guys who fish ponds, smaller ponds that don't have a lot of structure, right? There's not docks, there's not big laydowns, there's not like big rock walls. A lot of times it's just a circle, okay? And that's pretty common. I feel like a lot of guys fish that. You know, if you're lucky enough to have structure in your pond, then, you know, that's awesome. But most of the time, like I said, guys don't. This pond, actually, it has some shape to it, but there's not a lot of structure. There's a couple little drainage, couple drains in this pond, and they have rocks on the drain, but the rocks don't go too far on the water. And they do a little bit, but not a lot. So it's not like a huge piece of structure, and it doesn't take much to hold bass. So I do try to fish those rock piles still, but I wouldn't call them anything to spend a lot of time at necessarily. So yeah, if that's you, my first tip for you, and this pond, like I said, has some, you can see this pond, it has shape to it. It has a couple points, and I'll get to that later. But the first tip I want to say, and I think most people probably know this one that bank fish, I'll start with the most obvious, is to parallel the bank. So fish, you know, like to move up shallow and feed, and so you just line up at the bank and you cast as far as you can. Right now I'm casting with the wind, so it's gonna help me get farther, and I'm just ripping this down the bank. Now this may be the biggest way to catch fish in small ponds, and I think, like I said, most people probably know that, but if not, you know, here you go. Maybe you're a guy that you just come out and you just start aimlessly casting and you don't know where to start. Well, this is a good place to start, man. Just start ripping your lure or worm or whatever you're fishing, just parallel right down the bank, and just you can cover a lot of water because you can kind of, you know, make your cast, reel it a couple times, and then keep walking down the bank and just keep repeating that. All right, guys, just moving on down the bank here, casting parallel to the bank like I just mentioned, and we're gonna go ahead and move right into tip number 2. And as you can see, I am fishing into this corner. I've caught a lot of fish pond fishing in corners, and that's my second tip, man, is every pond is gonna have its corners. And I think it's worth, you know, if you're up to walk around it all the way, it's worth hitting every corner. The reason is, in my opinion, like I just mentioned, the bank creates an ambush point for these bass to get on their prey. A corner is double that. So, you know, you got a wall and a bank, but in the corner you got double wall, right? So you got two close areas of ambush, and then the corner itself just creates an ambush pocket. And so that's why I think it's definitely worth, man, spending some time casting at the corners. All right, guys, so moving on to tip number 3. So number 1, parallel the banks. Number 2, hit the corners, those really good ambush points. And number 3, fish about 10 to 15 feet off the bank. So not bombing it in the middle. I mean, you can do that. There's a time and a place to do anything, right? But specifically, I'm talking about, oh, I think I just got hit. Oh yeah, let's go. How about an example of what I was just about to say? That's a nice fish too. Come on, buddy, settle down. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I have my hoodie string covering the camera. My apologies. That's what I'm talking about. Good chunky little bass. Hit that bait pretty much on the fall. All right, I'm gonna get him back in the water and I'll pick up on that tip. All right, just a quick look here at what I was using, man. I just picked up these Rage Bugs, Strike King. Love this lure, man. It's to me, it's a good hybrid imitator of a bluegill and a crawfish. So anyways, guys, I was in the middle of just giving out this tip, and this bass hit right as I was saying. So the sweet zone, I would say about 10 to 15 feet. And so I was just thinking about it earlier. I mentioned how I've caught a lot of fish. No way. Let's go, another one, back-to-back cast. Guys, I'm not gonna be able to get this tip out. I'm just busy catching them. Oh yeah, a little bit smaller, but man, that one's a darker fish. I really like that. Really like the color on that guy. Thanks, sir. All right, I'm gonna keep the camera rolling here so I can try to talk about my opinion on this after I fix my worm. It's getting a little ripped up here. So 10 to 15 feet, guys. So between going parallel on the bank and 10 to 15 feet out, I don't know which one I've caught more fish from the bank. It's close. I've caught a lot both ways. I will say this, I know for a fact I've caught bigger fish in the in that deeper zone. And the reason I think it is, guys, is because it gives the bass, it's like that perfect in between of shallow and deep. So it gives the bass quick access to both. And so, yeah, if you don't spend a lot of time, and really specifically for this strategy, soft plastics, that way you can get on the bottom. So yeah, if you don't spend a lot of time, you know, really targeting that specific 10 to 15 feet zone, I feel like I've said that like 80 times, but I guess I'm trying to drive it home. Yeah, I just encourage you guys to start putting some lures out there. And like I said, usually it's a nice, easy cast, not really necessarily bombing it, and not on the bank, just a nice little toss right out there, and you see what happens. All right, looks like you can see that on the camera. So anytime you got a camera on you and you see a rainbow, you got to get that bad boy on lens. Beautiful, God's creation. Anytime you see that, and actually it's a double rainbow if you can't see it, just amazing. All right, so this is the final stop for the evening and the final tip. So you can see that fountain out there, and the wind is blowing right into my face, and that I got a cold mist coming right at me. So we're probably not going to stay here for too long, but I did want to come over here for the final stop because this is such a good place. So the first 3 tips were for specifically those square ponds that are just really bare. Not a lot of, no structure, no rocks, no docks, laydowns, none of that. This tip though is still for that situation, to where there's not a lot of visual structure, but some ponds like this one right here, they have points. So to where the land really goes out to a finger into the water. You can't really tell too well from what I'm standing right now, but this point goes way out into this lake, and there's one across too. And so the reason why points are so good is because it creates an opportunity for the bass to go shallow to deep very quickly. And so not just points, but also cutbacks. So anytime, you know, there's a cove or a cutback, pocket, whatever you want to call it, anytime there's something that's irregular in the water bass relate to, they use that as you know, places to hide and to ambush their prey. So yeah, that's pretty much the final tip that I got for you guys this evening. Hey, how about one more fish off this point? Just talking about it. Next cast, not a big guy, but hey, always take it. And I mentioned this this rage bug earlier. I was showing you guys how diverse that I think this worm is, or this creature bait really is, because it imitates a crawfish and a bluegill so well. And those first two fish in the video I caught on the bottom, and that fish right there, since you got these flappers, good action in the water, I actually caught that fish right there swimming this bait and kind of giving it some pops. And so just what an incredible bait to give the bass just really two different looks. You know, I wasn't even sure if I was gonna make a video out of this, doing a tip video on the water. So there's a lot of guys that make really good tip videos like in their garage or their tackle room, and that's all good and great because, you know, you can't catch a fish in there. So those are like perfect places to do it. But if you do a tip video on the water, come on bro, you got to catch a fish. So I was pretty happy, man, that I was able to at least catch a few fish out here. Nothing too huge, but hey man, it's all good on the water. I'll take it anytime I can get it. So hey man, I hope everybody's doing well out there. Thanks for chilling with me and watching the video, and until next time, make sure you guys get a wet line.